There is one number on a zero-turn spec sheet that decides whether you are buying a machine that runs for a decade or a machine that strands you mid-season with a repair bill that exceeds what the mower is worth. It is not the deck size. It is not the horsepower rating. It is not the brand name on the side of the hood. It is the transaxle, and 9 out of 10 buyers have never heard that word before they hand over $5,000, $8,000, or $12,000 at the dealership counter. Residential and commercial zero turns can sit 3 feet apart on the same showroom floor, carry nearly identical spec sheets, and perform completely differently over 1,000 hours of real use. This video breaks down the 3 tiers, the 3 specs that actually separate them, the brands professional operators buy without hesitation, and the ones they would not touch on a bet. The words residential, prosumer, and commercial get used by every manufacturer and every dealer on every floor in the country. They are not regulated terms. There is no industry body that defines them, which means a machine can be labeled commercial grade because it has a fabricated deck and a Kawasaki engine while running a drivetrain that a professional crew will destroy in a single season. The label is not the machine. The specs underneath are. 3 things actually separate the tiers. Get all 3 right and you are buying a machine. Get 1 wrong and the price tag is irrelevant. The first is the transaxle. Every zero turn runs on hydrostatic drive, and Hydro Gear is the dominant supplier in the category. Residential machines run the EZT, the ZT2000, or the ZT2800. These are sealed or lightly serviceable units with a real-world ceiling of 500 to 1,000 hours before the transmission costs more to rebuild than the mower is worth. Commercial machines run the ZT3400, the ZT5400, or separate Parker pump and motor systems with dedicated wheel motors. These are fully rebuildable. Maintained correctly, they run 3,000 to 5,000 hours and beyond. The second is deck steel. Residential decks are 10 to 12 gauge stamped. Commercial decks are 7 gauge fabricated and welded with reinforced leading edges. 7 gauge is roughly 33% thicker. Hit a buried root or a curb at speed, and the difference stops being a number and becomes a repair bill. The third is the engine. Homeowner-grade engines are rated for 500 to 1,200 hours. Commercial engines, the Kawasaki FX, the Kohler Command, Pro EFI, the Vanguard Big Block EFI, are built for 1,500 to 3,500 hours before a rebuild is even a conversation. The tier is the drivetrain, the deck, and the engine. Everything else printed on the brochure is marketing. These are not the brands with the biggest floor displays at the farm store or the loudest presence at the county fair. These are the machines that show up on professional trailers every single morning because they earn their keep across thousands of hours without asking for much in return. 6 brands, all commercial tier, all with different reasons professionals reach for them first. Exmark is the starting point, because on every serious pro forum, in every LCO Facebook group, and in every shop conversation about cut quality, Exmark gets named more than anyone else. The Laser ZX runs a Kawasaki FX, or a Vanguard Big Block EFI with oil guard, which pushes oil change intervals out to 500 hours. That is not a small detail. That is real labor savings across a full commercial season. The deck is a 7-gauge Ultra Cut Series 6. The drive system is separate pump and motor, and the warranty is 5 years or 1,500 hours on commercial accounts. It is dealer only. You will not find it at a big box store. That is not an oversight. That is a distribution decision that tells you exactly what kind of buyer the company is building for. If cut quality is the #1 variable in your operation, this is where the conversation ends for most professionals. Skag is where the conversation goes when the operator is thinking about resale and long-term cost of ownership, rather than just cut quality. The Turf Tiger 2 is built in Wisconsin by Metalcraft of Mayville. Dual 16cc Hydro Gear pumps, Parker 18cc wheel motors, a 7-gauge Velocity Plus deck, and engine options that include Vanguard, Kohler Command Pro, or Kawasaki FX, depending on the configuration. The resale argument is the one that closes the deal for fleet buyers. A 5-year-old Turf Tiger with 2,500 hours on it still sells for $5,000 to $7,000 on the used market. A 5-year-old residential mower is worth nothing to anyone. That gap between those two outcomes is the entire argument for buying commercial, and Skag makes it more clearly than almost anyone else in the category. Ferris owns the suspension conversation, and it is not particularly close. The ISX 3300 runs 4-link independent front suspension, dual hydro gear ZT 5400 transaxles, and engine options that include the Kawasaki FX 1000 or the Vanguard Big Block EFI with oil guard. The ZT 5400 is the only true ZT 5400 class drive appearing in a mainstream commercial mower at this price point. The suspension is not a comfort feature, it is a productivity feature. An operator running rough, uneven terrain for 8 hours a day accumulates physical fatigue that affects pace, focus, and the number of hours they can realistically put in per week. The Ferris reduces that load in a way that shows up in output by the end of a full season. Toro's Z-Master 7500 is built for one specific type of operator, and it serves that operator better than anything else in the segment. Wide area accounts, HOA contracts, cemetery work, municipal properties. The 7500G runs up to a 96-inch rear discharge deck, a Kohler EFI at 38 horsepower or a Yanmar diesel, and a separate pump and motor drive system. The warranty is 5 years or 2,000 hours, with the first 2 years carrying no hour cap. If you are bidding on large acreage contracts where productivity per hour is the only math that matters, this is the machine you submit the bid with. Gravely's ProTurn 600 is the fleet buyer's answer. The X Factor 3 deck is 7-gauge fabricated with a lifetime warranty on the deck shell. That lifetime deck guarantee becomes a real line item on a maintenance spreadsheet when you are running multiple machines across a season. Kawasaki FX 1000 EFI, a suspension pod system, and a 5-year 1,500-hour overall warranty. Built in Wisconsin under Ariens ownership, Hustler's Super Z is the speed argument. 15 miles per hour on the hyperdrive transmission, Kawasaki FX 1000 EFI, VX4 deck. The recent redesign moved this machine from a decent commercial option into a serious contender. The speed advantage is real, but it pays off specifically on wide-open flat properties. Operators in the South and Southwest running large residential and commercial accounts will feel that 15 miles per hour in their weekly production numbers in a way that operators on dense urban routes simply will not. The prosumer tier exists for a real reason. Not every buyer needs 3,000 hours out of a machine. Not every operation justifies a $14,000 investment on day one. The problem is not the tier itself. The problem is when a buyer thinks they are purchasing commercial durability and they are actually purchasing commercial aesthetics at a prosumer price point. Those are two completely different transactions. Bad Boy is the most visible brand in this conversation. Based in Batesville, Arkansas, building on American steel, and the company crossed 1 million mowers built in January 2026. The MZ Magnum and Rebel series carry Parker pump and motor drives, 7-gauge fabricated decks, and Kawasaki FX engines. On a spec sheet, those numbers read commercial. In the field, the experience is more variable than that. Some owners report flawless performance across multiple seasons, a meaningful number report deck bearing failures arriving early, electric deck lift actuators rusting out ahead of schedule, frames flexing under sustained load, and customer service that does not always pick up when the machine is down in the middle of July. The specs are real. The execution is inconsistent enough that the pro community treats Bad Boy as dealer-dependent rather than brand-dependent. If the dealer is good, the machine performs. If the dealer network is thin, and the nearest location is 3 hours away when hydraulics fail mid-season, that inconsistency becomes a business problem. Spartan carries similar positioning and similar caveats. In November 2025, the CPSC issued a recall on the SRT XD and KGZ XD models, covering approximately 650 units for a steering damper installation defect that could cause loss of control. 1 reported injury, and 15 incident reports accompanied that filing. Neither brand is without merit. But the dealer network is thinner, the track record is shorter, and the margin for error when something goes wrong is narrower than it is with Skag or Exmark. Nobody in the dealership is going to sit down and do this math with you before you sign. So, here it is. A $4,000 residential mower divided by 800 hours of real-world operating life works out to $5 per mowing hour. A $14,000 Skag Turf Tiger 2 divided by 3,500 hours of documented commercial life works out to $4 per mowing hour. The commercial machine is cheaper per productive hour than the residential machine. It costs 3 times as much to buy. That number does not show up on the price tag, and nobody on the floor is volunteering it. The rule is simple. If you are mowing under 50 hours per year on under 2 acres, buy residential and do not overthink it. The machine will outlast the math. If you are above that threshold, the commercial tier pays for itself across 5 years in a way the residential tier structurally cannot. One more variable that belongs in this calculation before the decision gets made. Dealer proximity. The best spec'd machine in the category is worth nothing if the nearest service bay is 3 hours away and your hydraulics go down on a Tuesday in July. Check the dealer network before the brand name. Every time. The transaxle rating is still the number that decides everything. Drivetrain, deck steel, engine rating, dealer network. 4 variables. Every other number on the spec sheet is noise until those 4 are answered correctly. The brands professionals buy are not always the ones with the biggest marketing budgets or the most prominent floor placement. They are the ones still running clean at 3,000 hours with parts available, and a dealer who picks up the phone. If this is the kind of breakdown that saves you from the wrong purchase, this channel does exactly this every single week. Subscribe and stay ahead of it.